Day 2 of the Julio Foolio trial was full of testimonies from the night he was murdered. And to catch all up on what happened in day 2, right now you have 4 men on trial for the ambush killing of Jacksonville rapper Julio Foolio, and they're found guilty and convicted. They could be facing a possible death sentence. In all honesty, with so much evidence, with Tesla having like a 4K camera making the shooting look like a movie scene, I think these guys cook. Especially this Deshaun Murphy dude, if I'm saying his name right. I think he might, get it the worst. And right now, you got all 4 of these guys with separate attorneys representing them, cross-examining all the victims, first responders, witnesses, etc. They also had like this gang detective who took the stand and broke down what his job is as a gang expert and what he looks for in an investigation and how long he's been investigating the ATK versus KTA beef. So what you're about to see is him paint a full picture of how he's able to connect the dots in this case. And I want y'all to pay close attention to this video all the way to the end, because this is the same gang expert who testified in Alicia Andrews' trial a few months ago. And every time he talks about his work and what he do or how, involved he is in his case, just start breaking down what he figured out. So it's just crazy how everything just circle back around to Young and Ace. Every time. It's like he at the top of the pyramid. Granted, Young and Ace hasn't been charged with anything like pertaining to the death of Julio Foolio, but if y'all think that this game expert keep mentioning his name for no reason at all, you crazy. It's gonna get bad down the road for a lot of these people, and we're gonna get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment down below. It's T-RaeTv, and over here, man, I don't get no lies or spin on narratives. I just say what I feel. Let's go. If you Google what a gang detective is or ask ChatGPT by definition, it's going to say that gang detectives are law enforcement investigators who specialize in gang-related crime. And instead of working general cases, they focus on things like gang violence, shootings, assaults, retaliation, organized criminal activity tied to gangs, tracking rivalries and ongoing conflicts, identifying who's connected to which group. It's like basically their job is just solving crimes after they happen. And they also try to prevent violence by understanding how gangs operate. Right here you'll see where it explains what they actually do from day to day. It says build intelligence on gangs, quote, who's involved, alliances, beefs, monitor social media, music, and public activity for threats or patterns, work with informants and witnesses, help prosecutors with cases like conspiracy or RICO charges, testify in court as experts on gang behavior. Now, I want y'all to pay close attention to the bottom where I just read what they do on a day-to-day basis as far as what their job consists of, because this part right here is the most important part. And it ties into the video that I'm about to play right now. This video is going to be pretty long, so y'all sit back, roll you one, pour you up a drink, whatever you do, whatever your vice is, but listen to this game expert, this Richard Needle dude. Pay attention to him break down how from beginning to end, just all the steps that they take to investigate these type of situations that be going on in neighborhoods, cities, states. Y'all check this out.
And is there specifically a statute in Florida that you and the other members of your unit are required to follow in documenting, undocumenting, and investigating gang cases?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that Florida statute?
874.
Does the statute provide for the legal definition for a criminal gang member in the state of Florida?
It does.
And is that the statute that you follow when you mentioned you document or purge different gang members?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you go about reviewing that statute and then comparing it to the evidence or information that you've collected?
So the statute is 3 or more people that are committing, one of their primary activities is criminal or delinquent acts. Colors, hand signs, clothing, stuff along that line that shows they're a part of the same group. We follow that, but the main key would be the criminal and delinquent acts. They'd be committing crimes to be a gang.
So there are requirements in order to form a gang itself,
Yes, ma'am.
and that includes the criminal association of 3 or more members.
Yes, ma'am.
And those 3 or more members are engaged in the criminal activity of some kind,
Yes, ma'am.
or in some way.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it strictly that the goal or purpose of the gang is criminal activity?
No, it's just one of its primary activities.
But is that what's required no matter what? Whether you have hand signs, whether you have other activities that identify you as a group, no matter what, 3 or more associated persons and criminal activity.
Yes, ma'am. That's the key component, is the criminal activity.
If you have one of the documented gang member criteria underneath that, so the hand signs, the admitting that you're a gang member, those types of things, are you a gang member or an associate?
You're an associate. In order to be a member, you have to meet
So
2.
if myself and Mr. Harmon and Ms. Doherty are 3 individuals and we all wear blue suits every week on Wednesdays and we have a hand sign that we throw, are we going to be eligible to meet that statute if we are not engaged in criminal activity, at least in part?
No, ma'am.
You must still also be engaged in the criminal activity.
Yes, ma'am.
When you are working gang-related cases or in your duty or capacity as a gang detective in Jacksonville, how much of your work week is actually devoted to the investigation of gang-related crimes?
The entire work week.
And in addition to the gang conferences, have you also attended something called HIDA?
Yes, ma'am. That's one of the federal agencies that we attend classes for.
Is your investigation or criminal investigation of gangs strictly related to murder investigations?
No, ma'am.
What are the other types of criminal investigations that you are looped in for?
We've done everything as from economic crimes to drugs to firearms charges.
And in your role working on your assigned group, ATK, are you also at least educating yourself on the other gangs in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a requirement to work in the gang unit?
Yes, ma'am. You would need to have general knowledge of the other gangs.
When you are working on assignment to determine whose cases will be assigned to each member of the gang unit, how are they assigned?
If it's after hours, it's whoever's on call. You would respond to the scenes, and then you'd gather the information, and the next day we'd have a meeting, and we would pass it off to the person that's assigned to the gang.
What is the information that you gather to identify the appropriate gang detective to assign?
More than likely, we'll go off the victim.
Meaning whoever the victim is aligned with or identified as belonging to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you had responded to the death of an ATK member, you would typically be assigned that case.
Yes, ma'am.
There are obviously some circumstances in which that could differ, I presume.
Yes.
Okay, but relatively, that's how you try to assign cases in Jacksonville.
Correct.
In working these gangs in Jacksonville, are there different types of gangs themselves that you have seen?
Yes, ma'am. We have traditional and street hybrid gangs.
What is a traditional gang?
A traditional gang is going to be like your Bloods and Crips, those style gangs that have a hierarchy. They have rules and regulations that they abide by.
When you say hierarchy, what do you mean by that?
Like there's somebody, you answer to somebody, there's like a boss, and then there's people that trickle all the way down.
That's like what we would see with, I guess, maybe Latin Kings or the Mafia. There's someone who's the head of the pyramid, really.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there are traditional gangs in Jacksonville.
Yes, there is.
But are there the other type that you mentioned, hybrid gangs?
Street hybrid, yes, ma'am, there is.
What is a street hybrid gang?
A street hybrid gang is generally created in the neighborhood. There's no hierarchy, there's no rules, regulations. It's just a neighborhood that meets the state statute 874.
Meaning the individuals who are representing that neighborhood also meet the statutory criteria for a gang member?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so you are saying from a neighborhood. Are there certain neighborhoods that are identified in Jacksonville as belonging to certain gangs or groups?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe for me one example of that?
The easy example would be like 1200. Their area of town is 1200 East First Street.
Is 1200 commonly referred to as Out East 1200 or 1200 Out East?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's literally geographically where a lot of the members reside?
I wouldn't, maybe not reside, but that's their hangout. That's where they're more than likely to be found. They could reside elsewhere in Duval County.
Over the course of the last several years, have you also seen a trend where individuals will belong to Out East 1200 that have never lived Out East?
Yeah, they could. You don't have to live out there to be a part of that gang.
What about 6 Block? Is that a location in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that refer to a specific neighborhood or area?
It's the area, it's the north side of Jacksonville, the area near 45th and Moncrief.
And typically, near 45th and Moncrief, are you seeing 6 Block members that were essentially born and raised there?
It would be the same for them. Like, you don't have to be born and raised in the area to be a part of that gang. But that's just the general spot that they used to or like to hang out.
Well, let's talk about geographic locations. If you are a member of 1200, are there certain areas that you have seen acts of violence occur in the 6 Block geographic locations, or locations that only 6 Block should be?
Yes, if you, it would raise concern if you found a 1200 Out East member or associate in the north side.
And
6
vice
Block
versa.
area, Jacksonville, yes, ma'am. That would raise concerns for us.
So certain areas that if you are a member of 6 Block, you don't go, that are other members' territories.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like you can't go, but it just raises concerns and acts of violence would likely occur.
Okay. Now, when you investigated or became involved in this investigation, were there 3 specific gangs relevant to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were those 3 gangs?
6 Block, ATK, and 1200 Out East.
Are you familiar with all 3, 6 Block, ATK, and 1200 Out East?
Yes, ma'am, I would say to a certain extent.
Which one are you most familiar with?
ATK.
Is that because that's the gang that you're assigned to?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you, in assisting the other gang detectives, provide information about ATK members when they have an investigation of their own about 1200 or 6 Block?
ATK and 1200 we would help out a lot, just due to our gangs associating with each other, and they have like an alliance.
When you say alliance, can you describe for us what that means?
Yeah, they make music together, they hang out together, they're often seen together, maybe like at a party or nightclubs or stuff like that, but the main thing that they would do is make music together.
So just because you are not from the same gang doesn't mean that you don't associate with other gang members.
Correct.
It's not like every gang is completely isolated to themselves.
No, you would have your associates and people that you get along with.
So ATK and 1200 are allied together.
Yes, ma'am.
Do those 2 gangs get along?
Yes.
Relatively. I mean, obviously there are sometimes outliers in anything, but those gangs you've seen music videos, for example, where they're together.
Yes, ma'am.
And were they always known, for example, 1200, always known commonly as 1200 in your entire career?
I think they have other names that they call themselves by, but the gang itself is 1200 Out East. That would probably be a better question for the 1200 detective.
Let's talk about ATK then. Are there subsets or earlier names that members of ATK went by?
Yes, early on they went by Young and Gang. They've also you'll hear them say NHG too.
What does NHG stand for?
No Hospital Gang.
And when you are looking at ATK itself, do you see members that you had previously identified as NHG photographed, making music videos with, or even claiming ATK?
Yes, ma'am.
How does that happen? So how does one group that's identifying as one thing develop into something else?
They just call themselves different names. The gang is ATK. That's the one that meets the state statute. And then generally they'll spin off of it. They don't quite meet the state statute, so they don't become a gang. They're just a group.
When you are documenting an ATK member, for example, do you document if they represent or present NHG but are photographed and making music with or are committing crimes with ATK members, that individual as an ATK gang member with some kind of subset or affiliation to NHG?
NHG is just a group, but The people a part of NHG are documented ATK members.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. So I'm sorry if that was a confusing question. Did over the years you see a separation between 6 Block and an earlier gang, or the members of 6 Block going by something called PCE?
I have, but the extent of my knowledge on that isn't the greatest because I don't investigate them every day. So that would probably be a better question for the 6 Block detective.
And who is that gang detective?
His name is Detective T-Rae McCullough.
What about 1200? Any subsets of that, like 187, would that be better asked of that gang detective?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is that?
Detective Craig Griffin.
When you had an opportunity to become involved in this investigation, did you specifically document several music videos of relevance to provide to the lead detectives?
Yes, ma'am.
And in documenting those music videos, did you document the members of the groups that were associated with those videos as gang members?
I believe that some of them are gang members or associates.
Would they have been documented by Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, for example, Young and Ace?
Yes, ma'am. He's documented ATK.
And did you provide a music video by Young and Ace named Who I Smoke?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen that music video?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an opportunity to review the lyrics included in that music video?
Yes, ma'am.
Same thing with a 6 Block music video. Although you're not assigned, are you very familiar with a 6 Block video called When I See You?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that a video created by Julio Foolio?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Julio Foolio a documented gang member of any gang in Jacksonville?
6 Block.
And lastly, did you have an opportunity to review the lyrics of a third video called Do It?
Yes, ma'am, by Young and Ace.
Also, same Young and Ace that is an ATK member?
Yes.
And is it a part of your investigation to learn the legal names of these individuals despite these monikers of Foolio or Young and Ace?
Yes.
What is the legal name of Young and Ace?
Kenyatta Bullard.
And have you been familiar with him since you have been working in the gang unit?
Yes.
Had you had an opportunity even prior to your time in the gang unit to patrol the neighborhoods in which these crimes of violence would occur?
I have.
And are you familiar with several of those incidents of violence based on your time in patrol and in your time in the gang unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain for the jury specifically what a drill rap is?
Drill rap is a style of music that was created in Chicago. It's often a disses towards opposing groups or acts of violence that have happened. It's real life events, more than likely. It's not saying that they committed those events, but they're profiting off of it by speaking about it.
What do you mean profiting off of it?
So whenever you post a song on any social media platform, you get paid for that. So if you get a certain amount of views, you receive money from that social media platform. So if you post a music video to YouTube and you get 1 million views, you may get a set amount of money per those views.
And in the music videos that we have at least discussed today, Who I Smoke, When I See You, and Do It, those each have dozens of millions of views.
Yes, ma'am.
All of the members, for example, we'll go with ATK since that's the gang that you're assigned to, not all of the members of ATK are prominent rappers, are they?
Correct.
Is there a prominent rapper that is leading ATK?
Young and Ace.
And is he probably the most recognizable, specifically if we go by YouTube views?
I would say yes.
What about for 6 Block? Is that still Julio Foolio or Charles Jones?
More than likely it is.
Are there other members of ATK that are rappers?
Yes.
To the level or extent that Young and Ace is?
Not quite that level.
But not everyone is a rapper.
No.
Do you, in reviewing these videos, have an opportunity to ascertain how other members of the gang actually make money or profit if there are only certain members that are successful rappers?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? It was.
Yes. I don't know what's happening. There's some kind of high-pitched something behind me, so I apologize.
I can hear it, but I don't know what it is. Now it's stopped. Okay.
Are you able to interpret the lyrics of those videos and ascertain how other members of ATK, for example, may be making money but are not rappers in those videos?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that based on the lyrics or the admissions that are given in those videos as well?
Yes, ma'am.
It is not just that drill videos are made by ATK, is that correct?
Correct.
You have seen and essentially interpreted music videos from 6 Block,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have seen and interpreted videos which include ATK and 1200.
Yes, ma'am.
So while those are two separate and distinct identified gangs with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, it is not unusual that you have seen both of those two allied together.
ATK and 1200, you're asking?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
What is it that you have learned causes them to be allies to each other?
They have a common enemy.
And who is their common enemy?
6 Block.
Are ATK members and 1200 members vocal about 6 Block being their common enemy?
Yes.
And have you learned over the course of your time in the gang unit a specific member that receives that disdain from 1200 and ATK? Specific
Foolio.
member of 6 Block, yes. Do you also have an opportunity to interview current and former gang members to get deeper understandings of the inner workings of gangs in Jacksonville?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you also familiar with the cases or the outcomes of certain cases that occur in Jacksonville when they are gang related? Meaning if one gang member pleads guilty to the injury, homicide, crime against another gang.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that was pretty long, man, and if you stay to the end, I appreciate it. That's why I say I kind of feel like it's gonna get bad. If you watch my last video that I did on Young and Age, I talked about this RICO stuff. That's why I said pay attention to the bottom of what I just read, because where it says they help prosecutors with the cases like conspiracies or RICO charges and they testify in court as gang experts, I feel like this is gonna go past the state, and that's why Young and Age hadn't been picked up. I said in my last video, Julio Foolio getting killed, it really sealed all these boys' fate. It pretty much it brought on the trouble. It brought the bullshit. Not saying that it wasn't already going on, but you gotta know if they was already watching y'all from when Bibby got killed or when Young and A's brother got killed, like way from 2017, 2018. They set up here and they just watch all the, I say like the little young guys, the little young niggas die off or get killed. And just as soon as one of the head honchos or one of the king pieces, like I said earlier, like how they trying to make Young and A's the head of the pyramid, just as soon as one of y'all, like one of them got killed, Young and Ace or Julio, this was bound to happen. It was gonna happen eventually. All it took was one of them getting killed. And boom, there it is. Now, I'm not saying that it's a RICO brewing. I'm just saying this, to me, looks like ground for RICO if you look at everything that the gang expert just explained on the stand as far as his job, the extra mile that they go to investigate, all the precautions that they take to make sure that they got their ducks in a row. This don't just look like nothing that's going, and he keep bringing up Young and A's name. Like I say, Young and A's is nowhere to be found. So why this dude just so hell bent on Young and A's? Only thing you gotta do is just go look at the last video, or just look at the trial from day one. They had all this man videos in them, breaking them down, like quoting lyrics, playing verses. It's gonna get bad. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment down below. It's T-RaeTv. Y'all have a good night.